The Page Visibility API is a very useful API in JavaScript that can allow you to save resources in your application. I have a very simple set interval example that I'm going to use to explain how this API works. So I have this simple web page. Now in this script, I have my number variable initialized to 0. Then I have this function called runInterval, and this function returns a set interval. In this set interval, all I'm doing is increasing the number by 1 and then logging the new number. I have this page open on 3 tabs. This is the first tab, this is the second tab, and this is the third tab. But let's start from the first tab. So now if I come here and I call runInterval, I'm assigning the return value to interval ID, but don't worry about this for now. Now when I call runInterval, this is going to run this function, and in this function we call setInterval, which runs at every 1 second interval. So now if I should refresh this page, we have number is 1, number is 2, number is 3. Now when I go to this second tab and I refresh this page, we have number is 1, number is 2, number is 3, and same thing for this third tab, number is 1, number is 2, number is 3. But then what you see here is I was on this tab before, right? This interval is still running even though I'm not on this tab anymore. Let's say for example you want to send notifications to someone on your website at a specific interval. Now even if the person is no longer on the first tab, you are still sending those notifications to the person. The interval is still running even though the user is focused on a different tab, or maybe they're even focused on another tab entirely. So how do you then check that a user is still on a specific tab? Then you determine if you should still use the resources in that tab. This way you can use the Page Visibility API. How do you do that? Well, you can listen to an event listener, called visibility change. This event is triggered when the visibility of a tab changes. For example, for this first tab, that visibility change will be triggered on the tab when you leave it and also when you visit it. And I think it's also triggered if you should minimize the window. But then this visibility change doesn't actually tell us if we are leaving the tab or entering the tab. We can have access to that information on documents.visibility_state. So document.visibility_state is going to be hidden if you are leaving the tab, and if you are visiting the tab, the visibility state is going to be visible. So we can use hidden here, which means we are leaving the tab. So in the case where we are leaving the tab, we can come here now to call clear interval, and we pass the interval ID. By calling clear interval, it means that interval is going to stop running. So now let's test this out with this first tab. We have number is 1, number is 2, our interval is running, number is 4, number is 5. Now let me leave that tab. Now, as soon as I leave that tab, visibility change is triggered here. The document.visibility state is now hidden, and now our interval stops. So if I should go back to this interval, you can see that it stops at number is 5. And same thing for this tab. If I refresh it, number is 1, number is 2. If I go here and now I come here, you can see it stopped at number is 2. But then we don't want the interval to just stop, right? We want the interval to continue when the user comes back to that tab. So here I can return this. So if this is hidden, run this. But if it is not hidden, then I can say interval ID is equals to run interval again, which is now going to get a new interval ID. If I come back here now and I refresh this, we have 1, 2, 3. When I come here, second tab, refresh this, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. If we go back here, you can see this stops at 3 and now it continues 4, 5, 6. And if we come here, this stopped at 4 and now it continues 5, 6, 7. So with this visibility API, I'm able to ensure that resources are only used on the tab when a user is actually on that tab. If they're on a different tab, then those resources are paused. And like I said, this also applies if you minimize the window. So this is 8, 9, 10. If I minimize the window, visibility change is triggered, visibility state is hidden. And if I should go back to open that, it continues 11, 12, 13, 14. This can be very useful depending on what you're trying to do in your application. For example, let's say you turn on a socket connection to your server. Imagine a user opens your application on 5 tabs. Now that's going to mean 5 socket connections. But then as a user leaves a specific tab, you can turn off that connection, and then the user only has 1 connection at a time depending on the tab that they are on. I hope you found this useful. If you did, please give this video a like, share with others, and also subscribe for more JavaScript videos like this.